Police say man who drowned in a recovery jump from service vehicle incident being probed. The Police Inspectorate and Professional Standard Oversight Bureau and the Independent Commission of Investigations have launched separate probes into the death of a man being transported by the police in St. Catherine. A statement issued by the Police Constabulary Communications Unit stated that 73-year-old Milton Smith reportedly jumped from the service vehicle as it traveled across Flat Bridge in the Bagworth Gorge and fell into the Royal Cobra. The incident was captured on traffic cam video, which has since gone viral. In the video, Milton was seen with a tire as he entered the water. In its report, the communications unit stated that Smith, a former of Linstead St. Catherine, was a suspect in an alleged case of abduction and carnal abuse and was being transferred from Linstead to Spanish Town. It further said that he was assisted from the river by police personnel and the fire brigade and taken to hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Cabinet approves $500 million relief grant to clean up schools. Cabinet has approved a relief grant of $500 million for schools damaged during the passage of Category 5 Hurricane Melissa. We have to clean up, and we have to get the debris moved out of our schools. Over $500 million has been approved to do cleanup work already, and will be distributing the grants to the individual schools so that can be mobilized on the ground to move out the debris and to set up temporary learning spaces, said Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. She was addressing the launch at National Parent Month on Wednesday in Valley Gardens at the high school in Kingston. The Permanent Secretary shared that to date 653 schools across Jamaica have reopened. We have over 40 technical workers in the field trying to assess the damage so we know how to rebuild and which school to rebuild. Our minister has set up a technical team and we are meeting twice per week, she noted. She noted that the ministry has pulled on the expertise of external stakeholders and consultants like the Jamaica Institute of Engineers and the Jamaica Institute of Quantity Surveyors. They are sending a proposal to us so we can get more technocrats in the field to get the rapid assessments done so we can submit to Cabinet the cost for the rebuilding, she noted. Meanwhile, she shared that counseling support is being provided by guidance counselors, deans of discipline, and health and family life educators. They are out in the field working with the people who are impacted. UNICEF has already sponsored the training of our guidance counselors and helping professionals to build their capacity to respond to the needs on the ground at such a time like this, she stated. No report of unusual disease outbreak in island shelters. Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Christopher Tufton says there is no report of unusual outbreak of diseases in the island shelters in the wake of Hurricane Melissa. Dr. Tufton said as at November 9, the ministry has been conducting surveillance in 107 shelters, hosting some 1,320 people. He says the surveillance have focused on waterborne and vector-borne diseases. The health minister also cautioned against the spreading of misleading information as it relates to the outbreak of diseases due to the hurricane. He urged citizens to practice proper hygiene, use safe water, and report any symptoms of illness to the nearest facility.
Ministry of Health so far received no unusual reports of outbreak of diseases in the wake of Hurricane Melissa. Surveillance team within the public health system have been actively monitoring health trends with special attention to waterborne and vector-borne illnesses that often emerge after such weather patterns. Just want to pause quickly to say, Mr. Speaker, in these instances, and we have seen them before, everybody has become an expert. And it's easy for us to hold on to rumors, people giving their best advice when that advice is suboptimal because they don't have the knowledge, and then everybody grabs it and runs with it. And I've seen on social media, for example, talk about disease being, different types of major outbreaks in different parts. The Ministry of Health is the authority on the challenge, and we will report if there's an area of concern. We're not going to hide it from the public. In the meantime, every other source must be questioned or approached with caution, because that just fuels panic and that can impact the recovery process, whether it's tourism or just commerce generally.
Telecommunications provider Digicel reports progress with Hurricane Melissa restoration despite vandalism challenge. Telecoms provider Digicel is reporting some progress with its post-Hurricane Melissa restoration even amid challenges such as vandalism. The update was given by Chief Executive Officer Stephen at a sitting of Parliament's Infrastructure and Physical Development Committee. Stephen expressed frustration with repeated breaks in Just Restore service because thieves cut the fibre cable. He also noted that mere hours after workers refrew cell sites, thieves made off with it. While appreciative of the efforts of the police, Stephen stressed that theft is an unacceptable societal issue. As it relates to restoration, so far service has been returned to about 60% of mobile network customers.
So I would have wrote to Minister Vaz on Saturday night and I called the Commissioner. We're seeing a huge spike, unfortunately, in vandalism to our network, which is, I break it into little strands. So you've got potential copper theft. We don't have copper in the fibre network. It's plastic and glass, I'm sorry. But people see a black cable and I'll chop it and see what happens. And then I'll go 300 yards down the road to the same cable and chop it again, which means a double fibre break. Brilliant. Because I don't know if you know, when you splice a fibre, you only see one break. Because it's light, you send the light through. So you only see one break. So you go and fix the break, test it, and you go, oh no, there's another break, 200 yards. You get to that one, and then you can see where I'm going. So it's a very painful process. Those customers would have been up and using the service, and all of a sudden they're ringing me up and I'm apologising profusely because they say, well, I'm up, but like, what happened? So all of our generators operate on diesel. Kemp's Hill is probably an example we can give. So that's 120 gallons of fuel, which is a lot of fuel because those tanks are huge. But that's not an easy site to get to. Those guys, it took them 7 hours for us to fill that up, in very difficult terrain. We've had lots of landslides and, managing it. But those guys are risking life and limb to keep the generators going, to keep the customers online, to keep the sites going. And then the next day we get a warning, there's no fuel in the tank. And we're like seriously. So the Commissioner has been very supportive, in particular the CTOC division. We have had some successes this year, but we're seeing that ramp up dramatically as well. And all that does, it stops us recovering people, because we've got to go back to it. So we've got to stop the recovery of the people who don't have service to go back and refix. And I know we've been pushing, for harsher penalties in terms of legislation, but that we need to really change. I think it's also from a society perspective, we need everybody pushing. I have if you see it, say it, which I know is not easy for everybody, but I know the Commissioner has been, personally been very supportive of trying to help us stop this mindless acts of vandalism. We know there's going to be accidental damage. That happens after every major event. In any part of the world where I've worked in, there will be accidental damage. We can deal with that. We can sleep easy at night. We just got to go and fix it. But this stuff is just intentional, and it's just not acceptable.
Double whammy for Hanover. As residents of Hanover tried to recover from Hurricane Melissa, the parish was pawned Tuesday by a 4-hour thunderstorm that rubbled salt into 2 weeks' wound left by the catastrophe. Between Tuesday night and early Wednesday morning, the storm left behind widespread damage in the eastern end of the parish. The National Works Agency NWA was busy Wednesday trying to clear blocked drains, gullies, bridges, and roads. Among the areas impacted are Bombo in Hopewell, Sandy Bay, Kew Main Road, Point and Trial. There are some landslides that have been reported along the Kew Main Road, but in terms of major damage, it would have been the Sandy Bay Main Road that would have been blocked. We have had managed to clear some, said NWA Communication Relations Officer Western Region Janet Ricketts. She said gullies in the neighbouring parish of St. James were also impacted by the heavy showers, but the NWA is also addressing those issues. There was also help from residents of Ocean Point Housing Scheme. They took the initiative to use a privately owned backhoe to help with cleaning a nearby gully and the removal of 3 cars that were washed away from the scheme by flooded waters after 2 a.m. While reporters were not allowed inside the gated community, resident Jason Rowe maintained that days before the hurricane, unsuccessful efforts were made to have the NWA clean the culvert that leads across the main road. Rowe is of the view that what took place on Wednesday morning could have been avoided if NWA had acted. We had reached out to them from Wednesday morning before the hurricane and asked them to help with some drain cleaning because we were worried that it might impact the community. And they said that they only have funds to do cleanup after, he told reporters. Ricketts said NAA will investigate the matter.
To subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.